Happy viewers, you know that the cover letter plays important role as resume that will be like. But in the emerging situation, once again, just I would like to disclose another format for the covering letter, or it's also called cover letter. Here, the company may at least want to see, the hiring team may want to see about 150 to 200 mail per day, because there exists some sort of hectic and hassles with respect to scrutinizing and recruiting team that takes a burden on it. Therefore, what the company actually need is nothing but what you are, how worth I am hiring you as you become one of the employee to the company. That is the only main criterion, and that revolves with respect to the covering letter. As and when they see the covering letter, then immediately they came to learn this candidate whether suits to the company or not, like that. Therefore, they are not supposed to willing to see your 100% formalities like what you are, this, that and all. What you are, he only intended, that is employer is only intended towards what is the benefit I am getting if I hire you. That's only the concern like this. You can see this here, the covering letter, he is just, the name should be there as a triple X, and immediately he should not write any dear sir or respected sir kind of things. Immediately you come to the next one is dear hiring team. Here hire, we are going to hire like that, company is going to hire you, hence you should have to think like this, dear hiring team. Then the comma should be there. Then once again, that is subject in this manner you have to write RE highly motivated candidate. You see here how that should be. Highly motivated candidate seeking a career in fashion. Just I would like to take as the fashion technology. And here the candidate has done masters in that fashion technology. How that should, you see here, immediately that is the reference, or supposed to say immediately that will comes to be with respect to the subject as such. What is that? Who is that? Highly motivated candidate. You see and you observe here this motivated candidate that tells about the personality. You know that personality is nothing but persona of any candidate that tells directly, that is what is the motivated candidate. Motivated candidate that tells the clarity with respect to the for that particular employer, dear young learners. Therefore, and later they should have to come with what you are. Completing my masters in fashion management in July 2021. When I complete my masters in fashion management in 2021 with almost 2 years of experience in fashion and retail management. This is how, this is instead of writing much more, I am a graduate, I am just completed from graduate from this university. These are all not necessary. That tells within only one word or one sentence, I have completed my master's degree and later I put an experience of 2 years in that particular cadre as such, in that particular company as such. Okay. This is how that tells about the job profile, and that tells about what is your qualification and educational background. And later you can see here as and when you are going to write what is the body of the material as such. In this body of the material that tells about you are, suppose I am hiring you, I can do some work in the attrition management. If the manager is not supposed to be there to take the decision, at that time myself I would like to fill that job also. This resume and this covering letter that tells about dear young learners. Therefore, in the emerging situation and this job market of competition, we should have to thoroughly analyze the covering letter. As and when if you're going to put very good in covering letter, then immediately he watched, and because I told you the last class, that is being an interview, he observing and scan within 6 seconds to the either in the covering letter or it may be the resume. Therefore, as and when you put completing my masters in fashion management, that tells about educational qualification, that immediately that tells towards and the exposure towards what is your experiences with that particular job as such. Okay, then what is the highlight like this? Strong business acumen with hands-on experience in fashion and retail industry. What you are, that tells about. You are the strong business acumen. You are the person of business. What is the condition? You are seeking a career in fashion. Fashion technology, once again, he knew the language of fashion technology, he knew the terminology of fashion technology, and he already knew that what is the business demands. In business demand, what is the designing capacity? What is the customer needs? These are all the concepts that tells about strong business acumen with hands-on experience in fashion and retail management. And he also knew, he understand the needs and business models for the retails in terms of timeline. This is the most important, because you should have to mention this covering letters that tells to the employer he has mentioned some timeline. In that particular timeline, he is capable to analyze the marketing towards retail management. What is the need, emerging needs, what actually customer demands in that particular timeline. That is the most important. And later, led the retail analysis and design and enhance customer experience both in store and in the media. Because in the emerging trend with the competition, the people is looking is only in online and offline. Offline in the, that is how he is going to build, that is retail management in the store management, and he is also well versed with respect to the social media. What is the emerging demand with respect to the social media, and he also know how he is going to frame the structure with respect to in store and how he is going to sell as a retailer, that he knew. And later, a proactive mindset, leadership skills and ability to take initiative. This is the most important. We should have to response than the reaction. Therefore, we should be in the proactive. You are the person to take the initiation is the most important. You should take initiative. You should take initiative. You should have to be in a proactive. This is the standard words we should have to use while in the covering letter in the demanding and the emerging trend, dear young learners. And took on challenge covering responsibilities with communication with stakeholders and delivering the project as such. We should have to, that is called a liaison. Liaison in the sense we should have to correlate what is type of the order we are going to give that, what is the emerging demands with respect to the retailers and how the customers demand. These are all correlated. He knew, and that is called the communication, responsibility with communication. Dear young learners, communication, it may be the material communication could have taken place. Therefore, that tells directly with respect to the grooming skills also, how we are going to maintain the standard with the emerging trend. This is how this all revolves with respect to the covering responsibility. That is the covering responsibility, that is with respect to the communication, stakeholder and delivering the project. These are all just in time. These are all concerned with respect to this sentence. And later, a passion for analysis, consumer insights and providing business recommendation. You see this entire covering letter with the body of this material. This is only revolves how he is going to sell the product to the customers. That is only that tells about. This is the covering letter that tells about how proactive he is, what is the emerging trend with respect to the customer needs, and what the customer loves to purchase that particular fashions in fashion technological consideration. These are all this cover here. Okay, therefore, the covering letter itself that tells about what that body of the covering letter that tells what you are kind of things. Finally, my strong drive, work ethic and the ability to build a relationship across the cultures. We have to take that because the fashion technology, depends upon the emotional factors also. Some ethnicity is most important. Then people love to purchase only the emerging trend of the new also. Some people, they only take care with respect to the attire, with respect to the traditional management also. Therefore, this is how the culture, across the culture, he should have to provide the best solution to the needed customer. This is the most and emerging trend nowadays, this covering letter that tells everything. And finally, this letter has ignited curiosity. I would love to carry the conversation with you. I hope hear from you soon to discuss way. This is how. This is once again while welcoming, or he is looking for some sort of the interview. In the sense, I would like to see the curiosity. It is ignited curiosity. You will see the word how that should be. This is how that he has to call for him, because he is curious to do this challenge as such. This task is a critical task, even though he is well to do with this responsibility. That tells about last two sentences, that is an attractive sentence. And later he is going to thank with yours sincerely. Yours sincerely, that is the loyalty to the company. If you are going to hire, then I am doing worth and asset to you. That tells about the clarity with respect to the thoughts of this particular candidate. Therefore, this is how the covering letter that in the emerging trend in the competitive era, this type of covering letters, we need it. That is later, and you have to conclude with respect to the contact number and the proper email ID. Dear young learners, here you should have to learn in this manner. See, as and when you know what are those things. Here the emerging trend, he is running shortage of time, he would like to glance, and he is skimming and scanning of this covering letter that play a predominant role to the interview or interviewer or employer. Employer, he don't want to do what you are doing, where you are personal what is their information about personality, he do not want. But what he needed is, what is the ethics you are having, how loyal to the company with respect to the business standards, because this type of job that demands target orientation needed. For that target orientation, there exists timeline. We have to sell the product within that particular time. Therefore, in this retail management, what are the things with respect to the customer needs we need it, and we have to punch that, we have to reach the sales. That is only the criterion. This covering letter that tells with only that revolves with respect to that, the management with respect to the customer and the perception of management with respect to the customer needs. This is the ideal covering letter, dear young learners. Dear viewers, we know that covering letter that covers what is the expression to impress employer. That is the objective of covering letter. As and when he scanned the covering letter, then he came to learn, that employer came to learn whether the candidate suits to that particular company or not as such. In this, the globalization, as and when the people wants only depends upon the economics concepts, therefore, and whatever the resume or covering letter that need upgradation with respect to that particular company and what is the demands of that particular company as such. Therefore, as and when study the covering letter number 1 and number 2, you came to learn covering number 1 that tells about the framework to only as a job application in the way of academia. This, in the covering letter 2, we came to learn what is the highly demandable with respect to that particular candidature, and what he done the masters in that particular fashion technology, and later what is that emerging trend. He is being the manager in the retail management, and he is applying for the junior cadre also. At that time, how he is going to balance the attrition management, because as you know, human being, he is supposed to be with respect to having fall sick or something immediately. He may not come to the duty on that particular day, even though that might be the demanded day. But the junior people has to take the responsibility, and here the only concept with respect to the management with the company management is nothing but safety is a first and work is a must. Work is a must is the concept, as that there exists some smooth flow of any management with respect to the economy is concerned, or with respect to the money matters as such. Because as and when the business orientation, these are all concerned with respect to the paragraph written, whatever the concept it may be, these are all concerned to be with respect to some sort of the business criterion also appreciated here. As and when we are going to see the formal letter, these are all the concepts like that. There is only the thing like this. This is the whole second what we have learned about the cover letter, that tells about depth of the knowledge of that particular candidate, that he answers what is the energetic with respect to the particular job, and how he boosts his energy to drive the customer orientationness with the management perceptions. And he also told about attrition management. In the absence of that particular team, I can handle the show. That is his criterion. And he is going to show how he is going to impress the interviewer with respect to the last two words. If you would like to, I do have some ignited curiosity to have a talk with you. This is how we should have to balance, that is as and when you are going to write it. Therefore, here the point of writing is shouting. Writing is shouting is nothing but you should have to impress that particular employer. In this regard, he definitely is adopted, that is, he is going to do take and accept that covering letter such that he calls for interview, and later he can provide him a job as such, because he needs, and that is what he needed, what is the desires with respect to his curiosity while working towards the retail management, that tells in the second covering letter. These are the covering letters we should have to learn when from the first one to the second one. Second covering letter, it is more demandable in the emerging situation in a corporate culture, dear young learners. Therefore, second that covering letter that play a predominant role with respect to the present scenario of company as such, dear young learners. Thank you very much.